This was not the video I was expecting to make today. This probably isn't even going up on the day that I usually post. It's probably going to be posted like almost immediately after I'm done editing. But, and believe it or not, I actually even considered just like making this one and posting it instead of the usual pickups this past Saturday, but part of me was also thinking that it wasn't really my place to say anything, but I still feel like I have to say something. Like, for as little connected to me as it ultimately is, I just wanted to give my 2 cents. So, if you follow a lot of the same channels that I do, you should know that Billy from the Game Chasers has passed away. It's just I don't really even know what else to say. It just happened so quickly, and a lot of people in the community are upset, are paying tribute to him. So I kind of wanted to do the same. I obviously didn't know him personally, and I can only imagine how it feels to those who did. But I mean, the Game Chasers as a whole was just this huge part of the retro gaming community on YouTube, and they just had these big personalities, and as cheesy as it sounds, like it really did almost feel like when you were watching them, you almost sort of did know them. I mean, like, not like personally, not like you grew up with them directly, but almost like if they were transplanted into your childhood or you were transplanted into theirs and somehow like were interacting. Like, it almost felt like nothing would have been out of place if you did know them, if that makes any sense. And then you just hear these stories about like Billy and Jay from those who did know them, and not only were they just as they were on camera, but even more so. Like, the Game Chasers version of them was the scaled down version, according to many of their close friends, and it was just like a super personable, fun channel, and that's something I always appreciated when like no one actually tried to play things up or act like a celebrity or something. Billy was also one of the few YouTubers I ever watched that actually talked about the Intellivision, and believe it or not, that actually kind of influenced one of my, not purchases, but part of my collection. And when I was working at that grocery store I mentioned in one of my memories videos, where like if people were talking about cleaning up a house or clearing out a storage unit or moving, I would always ask, oh, do you got any old video games? And this one old couple actually had and brought to me an Intellivision with a copy of Burger Time. Now, under normal circumstances, like, most people would have just said, oh, that's really cool, accepted it, and then probably traded it away at some point. But because this was on Game Chasers quite a few times and Billy would talk about it, it's like, I want to at least give it a try. And it's just like this really fun, addictive arcade game with some stupidly catchy music. So I held on to it because, like, hey, this is fun every once in a while. But then after all that's happened, I'm never getting rid of this. Like, as I just want to remember. I just want to have this as, like, hey, I held on to this because of one of my favorite YouTubers, and it is pretty damn fun. But now it's more like, hey, I'm keeping this to carry on one of Billy's favorite games and like trying to share it with as many people as would be willing to play it with me. But there was actually a couple of times I've had some interactions with Billy. Like one time in the comments, I actually helped him out with an argument he was having with his cousin, Redneck Chris, over who farted. If you watch Game Chasers, you know that's nothing too surprising. But yeah, it's like, oh, hey, I remember that episode. Da, 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 da. So that was a lot of fun. But then there were also the times in the past couple of years that I got to go to Retropalooza and actually got to talk with him in person. Again, just as a fan, but even that was pretty cool. And actually, I was at the Retropalooza where they were giving out these reprints of the Game Chasers movie, not like the not the ones that were printed for the backers and stuff. Like these were like official, like not, I guess, retail printings. And it's not a pre-signed copy either. They all actually signed it like at the table while I was buying it, and there's Billy's signature. It's cool, but it's also really upsetting to think about. Like that's one of the last things he was in. Oh God, there's something else about one of the last things he was in, but then when I was at Retropalooza Houston this past May, actually, my mind is just kind of racing a mile a minute, just trying to think of everything that's, like, for as little as I was able to interact with him, I'm still just trying to recall them. But at one of my first Retropaloozas, I actually went around and got all the chasers and honorary chasers to do those funny, stupid running jokes that were almost like catchphrases for them. And I actually did get Billy to go do his whole video games thing. I might just put that up as a short after this, just because it's silly, it's goofy, it's Billy, and it's just another way to remember him. But yeah, when I was at Retropalooza Houston, when I first moved to Texas, one of the things I wanted to do when I could finally start going to Retropaloozas was I wanted to get a rock and then write on it "Rock Dick Drop," and then give it to Billy as a gag gift, as a reference to that Alpha Omega Sin video, because I found out about the Chasers through Alpha Omega Sin, and like it was just my dumb personal way of saying, like, hey, I really love the channel, here's a stupid gift. And Billy actually got a good laugh out of that, and was almost I think he was kind of impressed with, because he called it a deep cut reference. I don't know how many people referred to that video to him before, but if I'm the only one to have ever referenced it since that video came out, then I guess that's a little special. But I just kept forgetting. About doing that, and when I went to Retropalooza Houston, I just straight up told him, it's like, hey, I had this dumb idea for a gag gift, but I keep forgetting to do it. And when he responded to it and was really like, wow, that's a deep cut reference, something about that just kind of like implanted it in my brain. I'm like, okay, I think I'm finally going to remember to do this. And considering that Retropalooza DFW was going to be in December, I'm like, that's perfect. It'll be almost like a white elephant gift. That's never happening now. And another thing that happened at Retropalooza Houston, you probably saw it, but I got Billy on camera to officially invite another favorite channel of mine, the Renegades, to Retropalooza. And for as much as I want to meet the Renegades in person, the other big reason, probably even more so, is simply because I feel like the Renegades and the Chasers would get along famously. Like, just the potential for so many shenanigans. Almost like the second coming of Jackass. That's never happening now. But again, I don't have that many moments or interactions with Billy, but I do remember just like these fun fan interactions that probably didn't mean a whole lot, like in the grand scheme of things, but are now just like memories. And they're special to me. For as dumb and trivial as they may be, they're a little special to me now. Probably really special. I know plenty of people are doing more elaborate, more heartfelt, and more personal tribute videos to Billy, like people that actually knew him proper. I know Jay is going to be posting something. I don't know when. I'm kind of hoping that Jay keeps the channel monetized and whatever revenue comes in, because so many people in the community have basically unanimously agreed to just binge watch the whole Game Chasers playlist in tribute to Billy, and whatever revenue comes out of that, I hope, like, I have no doubt that that's going to go to Billy's family. It is funny, out of all the people that are doing these tribute videos or tribute posts, one that was honestly kind of surprising was Ryan, the guy that owns Fire and Ice Games in Sacramento, California, because Billy's never been to that store before. Billy wasn't even a guest at SAC Gamers Expo. Only Jay was invited that one year, and yet Ryan still made a heartfelt post, like as tribute to Billy. And it's like, I think that just goes to show how big of an impact Billy was in the gaming community and how much everyone's just going to miss him. Again, I can only imagine how his actual family is feeling. And I said that the whole community has basically agreed to binge watch the show and like in tribute to Billy and just like pay our respects, which I do want to do that. I already kind of rewatch Game Chasers on a regular basis anyway, but it's going to be a little awkward because when they released episode 90 a few months ago, I pointed out in the comments how episodes are like much slower to release than they used to be, which I understand. I completely understand. It wasn't a complaint comment. Don't twist my words. It was not a complaint. It was just kind of pointing out, like, hey, these videos are much slower to release, which I understand because, like, hey, they've talked about before how they're running out of games to actively hunt for, and so if they're really running out of stuff to post about, and they don't want to bullshit us. They don't want to, like, people kept freaking accusing them of planting games, like that whole thing with the rundown video store, and it's like, how do you fake pigeon poop? But so the fact that the episodes were slow to release was also just exemplifying how genuine Billy and Jay wanted to be on a YouTube show, even for a YouTube show. But when I pointed that out, I said, wouldn't it be... I wouldn't be surprised, and honestly, it would be a little cool if they just ended the show at 100 episodes, like an even 100 episodes of Game Chasers before moving on to something else, either YouTube-related or not. And then this happened. Now, I am in no way blaming myself, but if you are one of those people that believes think it, but don't say it so that it can't happen, it's just going to be really awkward to go back to that, what I guess is now the final episode, and just remember that I just had to open my fat fucking mouth. I don't even think Billy would have remembered that comment while he was in the hospital. But it's still just kind of upsetting to me personally. I'm not going to delete the comment. I'm not one of those people. I'm not going to try and say that that never happened. But yeah. But I want to try and end this as positive as possible, because Billy was such a goof. It was like a big, like I said, such a big personality, and like you'd hear stories from like John Riggs or Happy Console Gamer about, they would talk about family stuff, and so you just know that Billy was just a really wholesome guy. And actually, I almost forgot this, and this actually would be a perfect way to end. But like I said, at Retropalooza Houston, after day one, I was just hanging out at the hotel. I was like pacing up and down the hall because, like I've said before, I like to walk. But it was late, but it wasn't so late that I would have gone to bed by then. But it turns out Billy was staying on the same floor as me, and he, like, as I was pacing the hallway, he just said, "Hey, we're all hanging out down by the pool. You can come join if you want." He didn't need to do that. I was just some dude, just some dork coming to the convention, but he decided to be friendly. And again, that one story does not do him any justice. Like, I can only imagine, again, how many other stories that Billy's actual friends and family have, and maybe other fans that like actually started as fans but then actually started to get to know him in person. Like, I think Seventh Level would be a perfect example of that. But like, again, I'm just sharing my own stories, like, for as few of them as there are. Again, I just wanted to get this all off my chest, and just it really sucks. Like, Game Chasers and Billy himself were just this big part of this community, and now that big part is gone, and we're always going to remember him. And I'm just tripping over my words. I don't even really know what else to say, but I guess all I really can say is, Billy, you glorious chode, rest well. We're all going to miss you.